Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Elite Real Estate Podcast. Thanks for joining me this morning. Super excited about today's show. Going to be covering a lot of stuff. But wanted to let you know first and foremost, and thank you guys for joining me. And keeping up this thing and joining on the calls or joining on the the social media platforms or wherever we're at. But super excited about today's show. We're just jumping in now, but and again, let you know you can get the Elite Real Estate Podcast anywhere you find podcasts. So we're available on Apple, iTunes, iHeartRadio, Spotify, YouTube, all those places. Plus, then you got the Facebook, Instagram, blah, 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 all those kind of things. So super excited about today's guest, guys. He's joining me right now, Mr. Keith Simon. Come on in, sir. Join us. There it is. Look at sporting the U of M stuff. Throw those headphones on right there, my friend.
Makes me feel better about the Tiger game last night wearing some U of M stuff.
Well, the Tigers are playing with house money.
They are.
You know what I mean? Like the Tigers are playing with house money. So was last night disappointing for sure?
It wasn't for me. I talk with a lot of Tiger friends, and I try and tell them just enjoy the ride. I get up at about 2:00 every morning. I do this exhaustive study on the Tigers because it's something we've never seen in sports before. I mean it. I mean, you have a payroll of $17.5 million.
Yeah.
24 teams in Major League Baseball have a player that's paid more than that.
Yeah,
24 teams.
The interesting thing was when we saw the Astros, right? The closer for the Astros makes more money than their whole 26-man roster.
And that's the same thing with 24 other teams in Major League Baseball have at least one player that makes more than their Major League roster.
It's not. They're a bunch of kids just playing baseball.
13 rookies.
Yeah.
Right? Like you've never seen anything like this before. And I'm just enjoying the ride. I still think they'll win on Saturday. A little disappointed yesterday. But
it says good things about our future, right? It says good things about the future of baseball in Detroit, I guess. That's the positive note.
Yeah, I because you're playing with house money, there is some maybe false hope that this team's just going to continue to play like this and get better. And
hopefully, right?
Right. But I think you're going to have to spend some money to make this team better to continue to be competitive. But it's been a great ride.
Yeah, and thinking about it, and we're going to jump into some other stuff, but this just was a cool story, right? Like it is, and they don't have to spend much. I mean, think about it. If they added a bat, or another arm, like if you doubled your salary, right?
Right.
You'd still be one of the lowest hanging teams in the league.
Absolutely. And it's just crazy that even to think at the trade deadline, they got
move this a little bit closer.
They got rid of.
You can move. Yeah, there you go.
There we go. They got rid of 5 people who were making an impact on our team. I mean, Mark Hanna, who was a free agent and was supposed to be their best bat, gone. Flaherty gone. So I mean, they don't have to spend much if you consider or if you hope that they're going to continue to get better. So, we'll see.
I love it. I love it. So we're going to cover. We're done covering baseball for a moment.
Oh no, I thought this was a sports talk show. Let's go.
It's really an anything talk show, right? We'll talk about whatever it is, man. But guys, Keith Simon is joining me, and he is from Snap Homes. And explain to me Snap and where that idea came from and what is it? Because there's a lot of agents paying attention and listening and watching. So let's explain that to them.
So what Snap Homes is we sit in this space. I guess right now, if you had to define what we are, we're a private lender. What we do is we take people who are qualified for a mortgage and make them cash buyers. So there's a couple of reasons why this came about. First, at the title company that I ran, I had somebody who ran my title company that ran a competitor of what could be considered a competitor of Snap Homes, except they don't do business in Michigan. And he had talked to me about this concept for a long time, about making people cash buyers. And there was a number of reasons for it, right? Like we're in a market, let's just consider the Metro Detroit market, where some people consider it soft. I think it depends on where you go. But what we're finding is cash is becoming more prevalent in the market every day. So according to NAR, through September of this year, about 29% of all residential real estate in the United States was purchased with cash. It's a staggering figure because if I look and throw a stone at 30% of my friends, they can't go out and buy a home with cash.
Right.
right? I mean, so that's 30% almost of the entire residential population's purchased with cash. If you break it down a little bit more, and sorry to bore people,
No,
death by math right
yeah,
now
this
for
is good
me.
stuff. Yeah, yeah.
um, if you break that 30% down, it comes out to about 20% of that cash is primary residence. That's still a staggering figure, right? So we figured we could get into a space of helping people become cash buyers. Now, the another kind of another twist to it is people think that if I'm buying a home, my competition for that same home might be you or somebody else. But what we're also finding out, stats are all over the place, that BlackRock, Stone Street, and Vanguard, three of the largest funds in the entire world, own one out of every three homes in the United States. And they're not just buying and servicing these homes, they're actually going out and competing for the homes against you. Now, these are multi billion-dollar organizations. So unless you have somebody within those organizations, a very rich uncle, you can't compete in this space a lot of times. So we decided to do this to help some of the people with the frustration they're getting. I went out and talked to a couple of some of the very prominent agents in Metro Detroit. And I said, how many of your people have lost a home to cash? Talked to this one agent. He had within his group, he had about 300 buyers. And they said 75% of their people had lost at least one home to cash.
Yeah.
And then I said, what's the average time that your buyers, looking? At this point, this agent said 8 months. I'm like, so you have X amount of hundreds of buyers that have lost at least one to cash and have been on there 8 months. Something's wrong with this. And how do we make this a more competitive field? So we started Snap Homes, and what we are, and the thing I need to clarify is we are not hard money, right? Like this is not a hard money loan.
That was one of the first things I asked you, right?
Right.
I was like, is it hard money? And you're like, no, it's not.
I think when people assume it's a private investor type company, they assume that it's hard money. But this isn't hard money. In order to do a transaction with us, you have to be approved for a mortgage. That mortgage has to be verifiable. Usually it's going to go through one of our affiliated lenders right now. Once we verify that approval, then we come behind you and we give you an approval to go out and buy the house. If you have a house, great. If not, you can get a pre-approval to make a cash offer the same way you would with a mortgage. The cash offer is made in our name, and then the buyer would repurchase the home from us. No difference in the purchase price, et cetera. And we can get into the minutia if anybody wants to call us, but we're making cash offers on behalf of the buyers.
Yeah. Yeah. It blew my mind a little bit with the product. And when you and I first started talking, because I thought the same thing. I'm like, it's hard money. Like, there's a million guys that do that. And you're like, no, it's not.
Not at all.
It's different. And you realtors all know we've all lost deals to cash. We've all done it. Especially, a lot of first time home buyers, right, are in that, say that $200,000 to $250,000 range.
Mm-hmm.
And they don't have a lot of cash to play with. They're putting everything. Denise Mansfield was on with me a couple of weeks ago. She said too that they're putting everything they have into this.
Mm-hmm.
They don't have any cash left over.
Right.
And so it's like, I had a client of mine. It was a few years ago, and we had made the sixth offer we made, they got accepted.
Yeah, that's crazy, right?
Yeah.
We were dealing with a house this weekend, and the house was $240,000. And I can tell you right now, our purchase price, our average purchase price that we're seeing and dealing with is between $350,000 and $400,000. But this house was $240,000. They had 8 offers on the house. 2 of them were full priced offers of $240,000. They ended up accepting a cash offer for $213,000, right? Like, so you can say, why would a seller who has a full price offer? Well, that seller had already been through this one time. They had a mortgage contingency fall through. They had a change in the buyer situation. And now their timeline is, we got to go. That cash looks really good. It looks really quick. In this scenario, $27,000 that cash buyer saved off the price, which is another incredible stat, Jimmy, is that so the FDIC did a study, and this can be found on our website, getsnaphomes.com, in the news section. The FDIC did a study from 1987 to 2017, and then they recommissioned this study to go through 2022. And it said that the average buyer who pays for their home in cash saves 11% in off the listing price over that of a mortgage. Now, I can tell you, and again, I'd be happy to break down numbers. People have access to the MLS, but we just did a random search in 5 major counties, right? So we did 120 different properties. So we did Oakland, Macomb, Wayne, Washtenaw, Livingston. Random search of the people who paid with cash. Now, keep in mind, again, death by numbers. Sorry, people. Keep in mind that our market is continued to trend at around 102% of the list price. Okay, so
Yeah.
if I've got $100,000 home, 102,000, what it's going for. So, what this random study showed us, again, these weren't our transactions in Livingston, 7.8% cash, less than the list price. Washtenaw, 9.2%. All right, it gets better. Macomb was 16.8%.
Wow.
Oakland was 19.7%, and Wayne was, I think, 10%. So that's off list price. In a market, our whole market that goes 102% above list price. And again, when you look at these houses, these aren't teardowns. These aren't investment houses. There was a home that went on a beautiful lake in Commerce. It was 1.4 million. It was listed at, it sold for 850 cash. Why? The the seller had been through 2 failed mortgage things. It was time to get out. That person saved, I mean, $550,000 off the list price of the house. So that's another thing too. And when people come to us, they're like, what is the cost? And I don't want to go through that right now, but I can tell you it's well worth the price of becoming a cash buyer. But a lot of times, if you're going through us and you're paying the cost, you're saving it in equity.
Right.
You're saving it and getting that back off the list price. So
that's, the crazy stat about all that stuff, right? Like that, what we don't realize, like, and agents probably understand this, the general consumer probably doesn't, right? Is that 19%. And again, not every situation, like I've had a couple listings recently where it was, people's parents had passed away and I was selling the house. And, agents come to me. And one of the things that I teach agents to ask is, outside of price, what's the most important thing to your client?
Right.
Because I know price is important. And, sometimes, like when my situations, price was it. That was it. I didn't need a quick close. I didn't need anything else. Now, I just involved in a situation a couple months ago where I needed this to happen quick. Right. I needed to accept an offer from my seller because they had already bought.
Right.
So now we got to get out of what we had. And they were like, and they were worried, like, oh, what if my house doesn't sell? What if my house doesn't sell? So we accepted an offer at asking and gave some concessions back, but we could close quick.
Absolutely. Right. So another stat is ICE, which handles a lot of the mortgage technology and reported through September of 2024. And this stat, some of you that deal within real estate will go, no way, but this is around the country. The average time to close a mortgage is 51 days through September, right? Cash closes in 2 weeks. Cash closes in 10 days, right? It's one of the benefits is cash is you don't have to wait for the mortgage, underwriter, the mortgage approval. It's cash, it's ready.
Yeah. So, and what was the website again?
It's getsnaphomes.com.
Getsnaphomes.com. All right. So, I mean, it's an incredible product, right? Like, I mean, what you're explaining, because it gives the power of cash buyers to people who are just qualified for a mortgage.
Yeah. And when we talk about credible product, one of the things we don't do, you don't pay us if the transaction doesn't go through, right? So if you come to us and say, hey, I want to get qualified for a cash offer, we're going to do the same things. We're going to get you pre-qualified for a mortgage. And then we're going to do our qualification for the cash offer based on that mortgage approval. At that point, you say, yeah, I found a property. I want to make a cash offer. Once the cash offer is accepted, then you will escrow a certain amount of money in there that we're going to still require an inspection, and we're going to still require an appraisal for the mortgage that you have. Those are the only two things. But credible product, it's absolutely credible. And the one thing a lot of people think is, okay, so I'm getting a cash and you're helping me out with a mortgage. The mortgage is a standard mortgage product, right? The whole basis of our investment is based on the buyer's ability to get a mortgage. So we go back to that circle of not hard money, right?
Right.
Like they
Right.
have to qualify for the product, and we have to be relatively sure that that approval is going to go through, because as an investor, I have a very short timeline that I want that money to be out there.
Right. So now, so to walk us through it. So if I were to go get my first step would still be get pre-approved first.
Yeah, and right now, based on the security and the way we work with our investors, we do have approved affiliate lenders that we ask you to go through. So if you were to contact us, we would pass you on to one of our lenders who would get you an approval.
Okay. So still the best scenario, right, is to reach out to get Snap Homes.
Yes.
Then get pre-approved that through whatever channels you need me to go through. And then I'm just the cash buyer, whatever I get approved for.
Yeah. So we will issue you an approval. Snap Homes will issue you a cash approval that says you're able to spend $500,000 cash, whatever. At the point we make an offer, or you find a house, you make an offer, we'll negotiate the offer, or your realtor will negotiate the offer. One of the other things I want to make clear is Snap Homes is not a realtor. So as realtors bring us their consumers, we're helping the realtor by getting them off the fence faster, taking less time to look for a house. The realtors are 100% whole in this transaction. There is nothing we take away from the realtor. There is no commission that we gouge from or take away from the realtor. But that's one of the misconceptions is, I met with a team the other day, and he said, so, it sounds good. We're going to give you our clients that we can't get done. And I said, wait a minute. No. You're not giving us anything. You're helping your clients. You're getting paid the commission the same way. Right. So in that case, we issue you, the consumer, a pre-approval for the cash, and then once you make an offer, we'll provide proof of funds so that you can go out with confidence and make that offer.
It's so good, man. And like you said, like you're there's no extra anything for the realtor. It's just the way I look at it. And I've been thinking about this a lot because you and I get to talk a lot. We're gonna talk about a few more things.
I'm going to ask for an office here soon because it seems like I'm coming out here all the time.
Come on,
an hour and a half to get here. I need to sleep here if I'm going to be on these podcasts.
We'll get you a couch.
Okay.
But no, I look at it as it's another product, right?
Yeah, and I like to say service, and that's just me being stupid in that and saying that there's a lot of products out there, and having cut my teeth in mortgage, I will tell you that I can roll up and say, I know locally of 4 mortgage products that are very similar, but they go in and a lot of times they might dump it in the realtor or dump it in the mortgage company's lap and it's left to somebody else. I want the realtor to understand how this can benefit their clients. And this is a service, right? Like this is a service that we're doing, coming in, taking our cash, helping your buyers get the house of their dream, which helps you as a realtor, which is going to bring referral business. It's strengthening and moving this wheel a little bit faster.
Yeah. And so it's an added service, and it's incredible. And so what people don't know is your background.
Yeah.
Right. Like your background, give us your background. Cause like the numbers you're dropping right now. And I'm like, wow, like it's such good stuff, but how do you know this stuff?
Well, I know this stuff from researching it since the idea came about in April, right? Like I started pouring into the market. I've spent better part of 30 years, mortgage, real estate, title. I've owned mortgage companies, real estate companies, never owned a real estate company, but worked for some of the best in the business. So I've always had the ability to understand what the market was doing. When this idea came to me, I don't want to go through a long story. It was actually in a point of frustration that I was frustrated with the situation in my current job, and I had to go through this point of forgiveness in this situation. I know it sounds hokey, but I had to go through this point of forgiveness, and in this point of forgiveness, it was kind of downloaded to me. And although my partner at work had done this in the past and had closed over 400 transactions, we had never gone in detail about this. And I had this clarity on April 16th of what it would look like. And by April 18th, I was talking to realtors and investors and seeing, and then it just kind of blew up from there. So my background is very heavily in mortgage and real estate, but it's more heavily, Jimmy, I would say the only collateral that I have as I've walked through things is relationships. Whether it's been in real estate, mortgage, or title, I think I've built some decent relationships and tried not to burn bridges. And this is the one time, and this isn't a knock against realtors. It's not a knock against title. It's not even a knock against mortgage, right? Like there's got to be a time where in each of our professions, we feel like we don't have much different to offer. I spent 5-ish years in the title space. Title's great. Title is that was me nailing the table.
I was like, what the? I know what the heck that was.
That was my ring. So title is title, meaning that most of the time, if you went with my company or a company down the street, our rates were the same. They are federally mandated. So it really comes down to service and relationship. And it's a tougher business to break into. Realtor, same thing. I mean, you're going to have to go against 12,000 different realtors in the greater metro area. Mortgage, same thing. How does one product really differ from the other? I'm actually in a field where even though I can count competitors, I know that none of them are actively working in our backyard. And I know that they don't have the relationships that we have to help grow this. So it was out of a point of wanting to help the market while, being completely excited. Given my age, I feel like I'm Colonel Sanders, right? Like he invented chicken or the Kentucky Fried Chicken in his 60s and died very poor. Never really saw the fruits of it. I didn't invent this. I was blessed enough to have somebody who was close by who could help me go through it, and it just started pouring into the research and how it was being affected. Last year, as far as we can tell, right, and this is just looking at the competitors. It was about a $20 billion industry. That's huge, right?
Yeah.
Like then if you take the Michigan market, and I can tell you about $44 billion in Michigan last year was sold in residential real estate. If you hold up the NAR figures at 30% of that is cash, that would say that just about $14 billion was purchased with cash in Michigan. I mean, again, if you're one of those clients, if you're one of those realtors who have helped a client who desperately wants to move and see a change in their situation, but continue to lose to cash, not to their neighbor, but to big hedge funds, to big,
right.
Then it's frustrating. And we wanted to take some of that frustration away.
Yeah. I love it. I read an article not too long ago. There's a neighborhood in Georgia. And it's brand new builds, right? It's new builds. And something like 80% of this neighborhood is owned by 3 different companies.
Yeah.
And they're all rentals.
It's amazing.
And I'm like, they're brand new builds. These aren't like, again, when we talk about, these aren't tear downs. These aren't like, these are brand new houses.
Right. And they're owned by 3 companies.
3 companies own 80% of the neighborhood.
Well, we're seeing that in people that may be listening or people you may know. We're seeing markets in Michigan that don't make sense. Like I can tell you there's a community in Livingston County that it's become a heavily Airbnb community. Don't ask me why, right? Like I live in Livingston County. There's no major theme park, right? There's lots of beautiful lakes. I love living out there, but there's no reason why these funds, these large groups should be coming in and competing for that,
right? And
then Airbnb them out. And so again, the frustrating thing is a lot of people think they just lost the cash. They just lost an offer to, somebody just like them. They're not. They're losing to big, high valued wealth, investment firms.
Yeah. Well, we got our breakfast clubbers on too. So our breakfast clubbers, if you guys are on the phone, star to unmute mute yourself, say hello. If you got any question for Keith, just go ahead and star unmute yourself. I'm keeping an eye on that too. But man, like it's such an incredible service. I'm going to use your word, service.
I appreciate that. You can use product. It's fine. As a matter of fact, I was training some people the other day, and I had rolled it out as a service, and then I said product, and they slowly correct me. Didn't you say it was a service? I mean, it is what people want it to be. If they can find a benefit in the word product or service, it doesn't matter to me.
So we got a question. Tim from Georgia's on.
Tim from Georgia. Hey, Tim.
Hey, Jimmy. What other states are you active in?
So, Tim, that's a great question. Right now, I can tell you that we're in Michigan, we're in Tennessee, we're in Florida. Georgia, I would look at the market in Florida because, again, keep in mind what we're doing here is slightly different from the iBuyer market. And I'm not going to use that distinction right now, but like I was involved in an iBuyer operation pre-COVID, and there was a lot of iBuyers at the time. And I'm going to just try and differentiate why we could go into Georgia right now. There's a lot of different iBuyers at the time. There was Open Door, there was Zillow Offers, there was OfferPad, and the iBuyer community started to really see tremendous hemorrhage and loss. And they did it for one reason. The iBuyer model was, Tim, you're selling your house, and I'm going to come in and I'm going to make you a cash offer for your house, not make you a cash buyer. I'm going to come in and make you a cash offer for your house. The problem with that is most iBuyers didn't know the markets they were going into. They partnered with realtors who weren't really great at valuation. And so if I'm buying a house at 92% of the value, it's a great offer for you and you're getting out, but I didn't value it correctly, I'm all of a sudden looking at a loss when I try and resell it. So the difference in what an iBuyer model and making cash buyers is you in Georgia, we would still ask you to go through the pre-approval process. I mean, it's all based on this mortgage, right? This ability to get approved. And assuming that we can get you approved, which again, 90% of the people who think they're going to get approved are getting approved. Then we're going to order an inspection. We're going to order appraisal. Those two things tell me all I need to know. So I would consider looking at it in Georgia as well. I know a lot of great realtors in Georgia. I'm sure Jimmy does too. And so, yeah, I would love to talk to you if you're interested in this.
The difference that you provide is you've got a qualified buyer. And
Yeah.
they've got some kind of ability to purchase versus companies like Divvy and others that actually buy the house, rent it back until the borrower's got the ability to have a higher credit score.
Yes, and that's a great distinction. We want you to have the ability to buy it right now. I do know other companies, and I think those companies, by the way, are great, that buy the house, lease it back to you, and help you build your credit score up. I think they serve a great niche in the area. But for my model, I want buyers that have the ability to be approved today.
It's so good, man. Yeah. So we do have. So remember when you come on the show, we got Florida, we got Georgia, we got New Jersey, we got who else is on here? New York, Miami.
Wow.
Yeah. So, and then I don't know who else is up on here. So we got a lot of people watching from
Awesome.
a lot. So, our Breakfast Club line is always happening. So you're going to get people from all over.
I love it. I love it. If nothing else, if I can't provide the service that you need, I know someone who can in your area. So I'm happy to help and just be a resource in that case.
Yeah. And then we'll make sure Keith's information all gets put on everything, and
that'd be great.
We'll get everything out for you for sure. So, but man, like what a product, service,
product,
right?
It's okay.
Yeah. And we're going to make some t-shirts, the service, not product.
The service, not a product. Yep. Exactly.
But no, you and I have got some stuff coming up here in the next couple of weeks, buddy.
Yeah, pretty excited about that. So we've got this event called October Best locally here in Michigan. And so I've been part of, I think it's 30 some real estate panels, going back with a guy named Brad Jagacki. We did these back from 2015 on, or 2016 on. And it was a way to give back to the real estate community, right? So whether I was in mortgage space or title space, it was simply a way to get realtors in the room and help them grow through some of their frustrations. We usually have, a lot of top people speaking, and hopefully people would come and glean from that. It was never, hey, this is my title company and this is why you should go with us. It just wasn't that, right?
Yeah.
Like we really wanted to educate the community. And, Jimmy and I did an event back in August, great event, where we switched up the format. But even after that, Jimmy's partner, we're sitting in the parking lot and he said, we should do this thing. And what it is, it's going to be a script off, right? I hesitate to say script off, but we're going to be overcoming objections in real time, fast, one-on-one kind of rap battle model where we'll have judges, audience, decibel meters.
Yeah.
We got 12 people participating, 8 realtors, 4 mortgage people. At the end, there'll be one. It'll be called October Best, and it's pretty exciting.
Yeah, for those of you guys just catching up, so this event that we're having in Detroit, it's going to be October 22nd, at the Garden Theater in Detroit. So I'll be up there on stage refereeing. We'll be doing some of the
Yep.
objection handlers, and I mean, we've got some some talent.
We got some major talent in the area. And the great thing was, when we started, it's like, how are we going to get 12 people? And then all of a sudden, as we started asking people, we had to tell people, unfortunately, it's too late next time. But
how did we keep it to 12, right?
we had to keep it to 12 because, again, respecting everybody's time and the way these battles, these rounds are playing out. I mean, if we get it there in under 2 hours, then I think we did something right.
I think so too.
Yeah. So we've got some major talent. I mean, whether it be Jeff Glover, Curtis Shewell, Eric Wright, Karen Cotellis, Katie Wheeler, Stacy Pradon, Sadie Caligari, and I'm missing Justin Woodbeck, Randy Gamo, Brad Jagacki, Diana Ivanu, and Becky Alley. I mean, those are 12 people that are highly respected in our marketplace for what they do. And that does, and you that are listening, or this may go out to some people who you may be better in volume than these people. And I hope to hear from you, and we'll get you a chance to do this as well. Maybe just because we didn't know each other, or whatnot, but we hope to make this a quarterly thing, ending in October best every year.
Yeah. We're starting with the Super Bowl.
Starting with the Super Bowl,
starting
right?
with the Super Bowl.
Yep.
And for those of you that will be interested in it, because I know you're gonna be interested. So, and those of you that are in other states, look out, it might be coming to your state too. So we may be doing this a regional thing. So the idea behind this was, so if you guys haven't seen the movie 8 Mile, being a Detroit guy and being a South Warren guy and growing up close to Eminem and all that stuff. So 8 Mile was a big deal. But
I've seen a high school picture. You look like you probably hung with Eminem for a little bit.
We are the same age. He's a grandpa now. He's becoming a grandpa now, which is nuts to me. But I mean, my oldest is 22, so right. I guess it could happen.
Absolutely.
But no. So that last rap battle scene in 8 Mile, that's what we're doing, right? Like that's what we're doing with these guys.
That's the energy we're trying to replicate. When after it's done, especially the final 2 rounds, it's all based on the audience applause, right?
Yeah.
We have a digital decibel meter that'll measure, applause. Just like if you go to a game and you see it on the scoreboard, that's what we have. So audience participation in this event, probably more so than any other event we've had, will not only determine the winner. When you come to the event, you'll have a chance to write down an objection you might want us to ask, so that we can ask that in real time. But it's going to be a lot of fun. I think that's what I've heard from most people that are either involved in it or have already registered. They can't wait because this sounds like fun. And in a business, it's really, in Michigan, at least, I can't speak for Florida, New Jersey, New York. Our market's taken a beating.
Yeah.
I mean, our market's taken a beating. We've lost 30% of the realtors who haven't renewed their license. We need something to get together and have some fun with. So we're really looking forward to this event.
Yeah. And that was our whole concept behind creating 3-5 Consulting, right? Our 3-5 Consulting company and that platform that we've created was based on the fact of mortgage and real estate agents do basically the same thing, right? I mean, our goal is the same.
Goal is the same.
But we point fingers. We do all these things, and this because you worked in mortgage and you worked in title.
I worked in all of them, right?
And you ran a real estate team, right?
I've seen it all.
Yeah,
right.
So it's like that Spider-Man meme where they're pointing at each other, right? So, but this event is going to be so cool. It's October 22nd. You can find it at Eventbrite, and I'm going to share that. I'll share that with everybody too. But this event, October 22nd, is going to be so cool because you've got the way we have this set up is the realtors are going to be going to the realtors, the mortgage are going to be going to the mortgage, right? But then at the end, the realtors and the mortgage loan officers are going to go against each other with objections too.
That's right. There can only be one October best, Jimmy.
Yes,
one October best, and that'll be the battle at the end. The realtor, the mortgage person that win will go against each other again. And at that point, it's all about the audience.
Yeah.
Right? So I think it's worth bringing notebooks. I think you're going to get some good information, but participating, cheering, having a good time, you're going to have food and drink provided. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah. And you're going to want to write some stuff down for sure. You're going to want a recording of this thing probably.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Because it's the best of the best, handling objections up there, rapid fire. Like you got time limits, you got
cutting the mic off.
Yeah.
So if you're a guy like me at times and you ramble, forget about it. You're at a minute, Mike goes dead.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is the new debate format, right? Where you talk too long, Mike's cut. That's what we're doing.
Yeah. Yeah. It's gonna be fantastic. Dare I say?
Fantastic.
But yeah, it is. But the participants and the people that I've talked to. So now the rumor on the street.
Mhm.
I don't know if you've heard this rumor or not.
I'm not sure. You're more street than I am, man. You got the ear down all the time. I love it.
They are practicing.
Yeah,
They are repping it out and practicing because everybody wants to win. Like we've sparked the real competition here.
yeah, it is. I haven't heard the practicing thing, although the desire to win is extraordinary. I've had a couple of the contestants, and one of the things we've asked each of the contestants to do is register as part of their entry into the contest. Register 10 people to participate or to come and watch. And so what I'm getting a lot from the contestants is, has anybody met their registration goal yet? Has anybody done that? Shout out to Jessica and Justin Woodback, who have met their registration goal. Thank you. So
See, there's more
they won the first competition and actually gave them a little thank you yesterday as a result.
Yeah, it's incredible. And look, I think this event, and I'm super excited about it. And we are starting with the Super Bowl. But I feel like this quarterly thing, and some of you who are on here, whether you're on the Breakfast Club or whether you're watching on social medias, are you ready? Are you going to be ready?
Yeah.
Right? Are you going to be ready? Because you may get tapped on the shoulder for this.
Yeah, I think that's it, right? And hopefully a lot of people see that it's not as invasive as they think, right? And say, hey, I really want to be part of this. Like at the end of the day, your brand is going to be on display, and just your ability to build relationships and be good natured about things, which I think is so important in our industry. So coming out and seeing that and hopefully being part of the next one, it'll be something that will garner a lot of interest.
Yeah. Yeah. And it was an event that we've talked about different styles and different ways of doing panels, right? We did a panel cast, which was a little bit different.
It was a lot different. Yeah.
Yeah. Which was a little different because again, you get some guy up there in a stuffy suit that's going to tell you like, I closed 27 deals last year and this is how I did it. I paid for all my leads. And it's like, well, great. I don't have any money. So that's not helping.
And
right?
Sorry to the guy in the stuffy suit that was on our panel that said that.
I don't think we had one guy in a stuffy suit. Yeah. I think that we did that differently too. Right. No stuffy suits. We don't do that. But I feel like, because you've done a ton, you said, how many of these events have you done?
Over 30. I mean, over 30 going back now, almost 8 years. And the interest and maybe it's just the market. We've had panels that have had 200 people, and then we've had panels that have had 40 people. So we've seen, whether it be content, whether it be time, whether it be people just can't afford to get there. I mean, we have seen a change in the numbers over 8 years. So I think doing something different and adding some fun to it is going to be an actual welcome thing.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that, that's one thing. And I think the other thing is too, realtors get tricked into doing, to going to a panel or going to, whether it's continuing ed or all those things. And they think they worked all day.
Yeah. Right.
You know what I mean? They think they worked all day and they get home and like, honey, man, I had a hard day at work. It was this, that, I had to sit and listen to this whole thing. It's like,
I had to listen to Keith Simon speak for 2 hours.
Yeah.
That is a hard day for most people.
But I'm like, but there was no money making activity there, right? Like you should take whatever you learn and go do something with it.
Yeah.
But most realtors, like, I don't want to say most, but a lot of realtors, take that as like, well, I worked hard today,
Yeah. I think that's the amazing thing is that you'll give up time away from income producing activities to go sit in a room and learn some things. And then you'll take everything you learned and never put it into practice. Like,
it's amazing.
Right? I worked with a guy and I respect this guy madly. And long before I worked with him, long before I worked on his advertising campaigns, I would go and sit and watch him speak. I wasn't in real estate at the time. I was in marketing at the time, but I would watch him speak. And I asked him one time, why do you give this away? He said, I want to help people, but I also know that like 95% of the people in the room aren't going to activate this.
Yeah.
Right. Like, and that's startling. Why would you waste even 5 minutes listening to something that if you draw something out of it, you plan not to activate it one bit?
Yeah. And I've noticed, being in meetings with you and being surrounded by you, first of all, you're a great dude, right?
Oh,
Yeah.
thank you.
And you're a great person and your lovely wife. And,
Heart emoji. Thanks, Jimmy.
but no, you're a note taker.
Oh, copious notes.
Yeah, you're a note taker, man. And you take them in a book. You don't take them on a legal pad.
No.
You take them in a book.
And yeah, it's maddening though. I'm a type of learner that has to write something down. And once I write it down, I have a pretty good memory of what I've written down without having to go back to it. But it's the only way that I can accurately remember what I've learned is writing stuff down. So I have books and books and books, and they just occupy space in my basement. Sometimes I go back to them, sometimes I don't. But I know that if I don't take those notes, I won't get anything out of it.
Yeah. Yeah. And I had a guy tell me one time, Austin Chevron, shout out to Austin. But Austin told me one time too, because I'm a note taker too. I write things down. But I was always legal pads, right? And it was like, but then what happens to legal pad?
You just throw it away.
You eventually throw it away, right? Like it goes away. But so I started doing the same thing. I bought books, right?
Yeah.
Just because now, like Austin said, the book goes on a shelf.
Yeah.
Now, whether you go back to it or not is one thing.
Yep.
But I will tell you, since I started doing that, I go back to those books, and there's some gold in those books.
Absolutely.
It's like, oh man, I forgot about that.
Yep.
I forgot I wrote that down.
It's same here. And I go out and I tend to spend between $15 and $20 on a book. So that when I think about throwing it away, I think I've made an investment in this. I took the time to write in this. Maybe I should hold on to it.
And think about, this is for all of you out there. Think about buying these books, and it's a blank book that you're taking notes in. For those of you that are going to EXPCon at the end of the month too, right? Like this is a thing. You buy a book, you're going to sit in these things, and you're going to learn all this stuff. Write it all down. Why would you just come back to just throw that away, right?
Yeah. Right.
It's like that. You're going to have some gold in there. You're going to have top speakers like our objection off our October best. You should be taking some notes at that, right?
Yeah.
Like you should be taking some notes on that.
Absolutely.
How did I overcome this objection? How did I overcome that objection? What happened with this? We tell our Breakfast Club line, every morning, like, and I know it's tough. We do it at 7:30 every morning. But we should be writing some stuff down,
Absolutely.
and getting some nuggets out of it. Cause you have a Curtis Shewell on every morning with you. That's giving you objection handles every morning. Right. So, and Al Adala, you have, giving you the guys that have been in the business for 25 years,
right?
There's not an objection they haven't seen, and they're giving you the answers to the test.
Yeah. It's amazing how you would sit through and again, hop on a line and not glean something out of it and try and put that to work.
Yeah.
I mean, if so, sales probably not the right business for you. Relationship building is not the right thing for you. I mean, to me, everything I know, everything I take down is to help me build relationships mostly, because I think that's what this business for me has always been, has just been relationships. I think that at the end of the day, I'm the differentiating fact as to why a client will go with me and not go with me. So that will say in the times that I haven't succeeded, that I haven't done a very good job of building those relationships.
Yeah. So, and you've said that a couple of times about building relationships, and that's how I'm built, right? Like I'm built in the fact of my clients that I'm working with aren't going to go anywhere else because they don't want to leave me, right? Because I've given them the service and the take care, and I've taken the ideas of whatever it is to new heights for them. But to you, like when you're building relationships, and whether that's a business relationship or whether that's a client relationship, like what is the warm fuzzies? Like what is it that like resonates with you after you meet someone?
Well, I don't know that there's any one thing in any relationship, but I've always tried to really get to know people as to why they do what they do. If it's in business, why are you a realtor, right? Like what made you get into this? What are the jobs that you had before? What are the things that you like to do outside of realty? Because I think that we choose our profession and we hope it supports our life rather than our life supporting our profession. And to me, I don't know whether, again, it's mortgage, real estate, or title, that I can effectively present you with any sort of service product without knowing who you are first. I will tell people I have one of the longest sales cycles in the business, and people don't like hearing that. But to me, there's a relationship that has to take place before I can position myself into that. So, I mean, to me, it's just asking questions to getting to know people. When we used to have these panels, whether I sat in title or as real estate or as mortgage, the question I always asked, and I never would talk about my company. I would always ask, hey, I wanted to thank somebody for coming out, taking time out of their day and joining us. And I'd say, hey, Jimmy, thanks for coming. Who did you come out here to see? Is there a question that you're hoping that we'll ask that could get answered, right? Is there somebody in this room that you came to see that may not be on the panel that I could introduce you to? Because once you take time to learn about people, then you can truly help them. I just don't think I could, even our product, right? Even our service, the cash, it's not for everybody. If you tell me, no, I'm going to pay a mortgage, I'm okay with making offers until it's accepted, then you're probably not the right consumer to have the conversation with. But that's it. I mean, I don't think there's any right or wrong question, but it's just getting to know people and, stripping it down and making it personal. I do like to make things personal. Like, the first time we talked, I mean, the initial connection was not just that you're a fantastic human being. It was that we played basketball.
Yeah.
Right. Like we both played basketball. And, I marveled at the fact that I've heard all my life that golf course is a great place to meet people. And in most of my early business life, I met more people on the basketball court than the golf course ever allotted me.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, age is a factor in that, right?
For sure. Now it's golf. For
Now
sure.
it's golf.
Now it's golf. It has.
Yeah. I used to meet a lot of people at the basketball court too. Now
Yeah.
I meet them more. Now I meet them more on the golf course.
Absolutely. Yeah, age is a factor in that.
It definitely is.
The knees don't work like they used to.
Mine are newer. You know
Yours
what
are
I mean?
newer,
Yeah,
right?
mine are newer. Yeah.
Yeah, you got brand new knees.
Yeah. My one knee's only like 5 years old.
Wow. That's great. So you could still do it on the basketball.
Yeah, I can still do a few things. But no, man, and I appreciate like this because I think relationship in our business is super important.
Yeah.
And one of the things that I appreciated about you when we first met too, and this is a pro tip for you guys, and I want you guys to listen to this, is you ask questions and you listen.
Thank you.
Most people don't do that. We like to talk about ourselves. You know what I mean? Like we like to tell stories, especially you get into a group of salespeople. Like good luck getting a word in, right?
Exactly. That's why come to Oktoberfest on October 22nd and see how
we have to cut the mics off.
That's exactly why we have to cut the mics off.
We have to cut the mics off because we're salespeople. So we got some words in, two of the best. We appreciate that.
Wow, thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Good morning. Where other user said great option for back to Snap Homes, but
perfect.
It's a great option. It's an incredible product, service.
Service again. However you feel it best fits in your world and your vocabulary.
Yeah, no, for sure. And I think, guys, listen, pro tips out of all these things, and you're going to take some nuggets out of all these things, and whether you find us and whether you're watching live or you're listening later on, you can get us on, like I said earlier, iTunes, iHeartRadio, Spotify, YouTube, podcasts, all the places you can find us. But I think there's some serious takeaways from this. And one of the things is when you're going to use a service like Snap Homes, you're getting Keith.
Yeah.
Right. Like that's the thing, and the quality of care that your client is going to get. This is another reason relationships matter.
Yeah. Because
if I'm going to send my client to you, I want my client in good hands.
Absolutely.
Because they're going to talk about me.
Well, and as a realtor, you're apprised of the situation all the way through because you're going to help that client. You're going to help us purchase the home for the client, and then you're going to come back and be on it. And so one of the things that this also does is it helps you as a realtor get paid faster because you actually get paid on the first closing, not the second closing.
Ooh.
So you get paid on the first closing. You'll get paid on the cash closing that you help Snap orchestrate.
Wow. That's big time.
Yeah.
That's big time.
And one pro tip as to how one of the realtors I'm working with is using this. So this realtor has 100 buyers. And he said, Keith, here's what I'm going to do. Like, this may not make sense, but follow me. He said, I'm going to go out, I'm going to orchestrate these 100 buyers, and I'm going to make cash offers for every single one of my 100 buyers. I am going to make them at 10% less than the listing price. I'm going to get probably 10 to 15% of those accepted. And those 10 or 15% are not only going to have instant equity or off the list price, but I am going to move them into a home. And that's going to be such a great world. We've seen it start to be active in his world where he's started to do that. And the customers are pretty ecstatic, right? I mean, again, if you think this is the same as getting a pre-approval for a mortgage, it's not. Realtors, I'll ask you if you've listed a house, the two offers the same, cash or mortgage, which one are you accepting? It's going to be cash all the time, almost every time if it's the same. And then if you know your seller situation, cash or mortgage, cash is still 4 times more likely to be seen than mortgage.
Yeah.
So, I mean, there's a lot of things in, again, use this as a resource. Your buyer may never, ever use our service. They may never buy a home with us, right? Or through us, but you can use it. And that gives your buyer another option, right? So all you're doing is providing them with another tool to go out and purchase the home that they want.
Yeah. Yeah. And again, it's a service, and it's a thing that's out there that your client's going to be in great hands. Because I know the quality of work that you do. So that's important to me, right? It also bolsters that relationship with your clients. And I mean, this agent that you're talking about, if they start closing and doing all these things, man, all they gotta do is go back to their other clients and go, hey, look, this is what we've been doing.
Yeah.
Check this out.
Yeah.
Right? Like, check this out. This is how this works. And this is what we're doing. And this is the success rate that we're having.
Yeah.
And holy crap.
And what about that agent that refers their client to do it, and that client goes through the purchase? What is your chance to get a referral from that client now?
Yeah.
Because you're offering something that, again, especially in Michigan, a very small amount of the population has access to and offers. And I can tell you, I know the companies that offer it as a mortgage product in Michigan. They're very much stagnant as far as going out and positioning it with realtors and whatnot.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
Yeah.
So right now you're available in Michigan.
I'll take a scenario anywhere, because the legality of what we do isn't difficult from place to place. All it would mean is I would have to get with our attorneys and look at our agreements, our fee agreements, and make sure that the realtor that we were working with had a proper board approved purchase agreement that we can use. That's it.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you're gonna do it anywhere.
Well, we'll look at anywhere. Like I said, Michigan, Florida, Tennessee is where we're activated right now.
Okay.
We have physical operations in Michigan. We don't have physical operations in Florida and Tennessee. We don't need them. We just need the right people and that's the realtor connection.
Yeah. Yeah. Love it. And like again, guys, the getsnaphomes.com, right?
Yep.
Getsnaphomes.com. I will put the information in all of our social media stuff, so you have it there. It's an incredible service. I think it's gonna be a game changer, and I think it.
Yeah, I've lost my affection for the phrase game changer, except when you use it as it appears to Snap Home. So yeah, game changer.
It's kind of like that commercial where you're a rock star. It's like, and then the rock stars are really sitting there, and they're really not. You're like, you're not a rock star.
Well, again, to me, this thing, if you understand your buyers and you understand the frustration, I can tell you personally that we were trying to buy a home, another home. It was selling at $550. We were going to come in and make a cash offer at $510. They accepted another offer, came back to us and said, we'll take it. By that time we had moved on. But I can tell you emotionally where we stood for about 30 days was not a good place. This home that my wife adored, she adored this house, wanted to live there. It doesn't matter, right, about anything else. We couldn't get it. And when I say that, I want to talk about the emotional thing. To me, it is emotional. When you understand the emotion that your buyers are going through and the frustration that they're going through, then we're going to be a great option for you. And I'll give you one thing, because I know our time is limited.
No, you're good.
I have this commercial in my mind, and my wife's in the next room. She'll probably kill me. Hi, Laura. And so this commercial goes like this. There's a house, and there's a sale sign that says sold. And then there's this couple walking up to the house with their kids and a champagne bottle. And across the street on the curb is another family sitting down crying because they lost the house. It doesn't play out like that, but it does to that other family when they're sitting in the living room and have been frustrated by offer after offer after offer. Our offers help them elevate theirs to the top. And that's all we're trying to help people do.
Yeah. And look, for you realtors out there, this is important for us because, again, now you're going to look like the hero to your client.
Absolutely.
Like, hey, and maybe your client initially doesn't want to use your service.
Right.
But they lose out on one of those deals.
Yeah.
Or two of those deals. Or 3 of those deals.
Yeah.
Now all of a sudden, like, hey, Get Snap Home sounds great. Let me talk to those guys because I'm tired of this,
And I think that even if you can get to them before that frustration happens, letting them know what the market looks like is that, hey, yeah, you've made a very good offer. You have a very good approval, but there is a likelihood because X amount of people have lost out on a home that you may lose out to a lower offer that's cash. Here's one way we can circumvent that before we even get to that and see if they want to go that route. Again, cost them nothing other than getting a mortgage pre-approval through one of our affiliates. That's it. It's painless.
Yeah.
We'll issue a cash approval within 24 hours of the mortgage approval, and they can go out and they can shop and they can make the offers that make sense for them.
Yeah. Now, is this service available for like secondary home, like investment? If I wanted to buy it, an investment or like a vacation home or anything like that, like.
The answer is, again, we'll review each of them. I will tell you, around the nation, most of the competitors will only do primary residence. We will look at these because, again, keep in mind what we are viewing as the most important part is your ability to get a mortgage. So, Jimmy, if you were approved for a mortgage for a secondary home, right? And we help you buy that home cash and you're coming in taking it out with a mortgage, I have very little risk if I understand your pre-approval for the mortgage. So I will look at second homes. Investment homes, we will look at, but we can't right now, no fix and flips or no flips because just there's a complexity on the mortgage piece. So we will not do flips and renovations. Yeah. It's also not a home improvement loan or something like that. This is a purchase loan.
Because it's not a hard money loan.
It's not a hard money loan.
It's not.
Not a hard money loan.
Yeah. Yes. Let's just be clear on that. That is
not a hard money loan.
It is. You could use it, but you're gonna look at each scenario and each situation.
Each scenario, yeah. It's important that whether you're creating cash buyers or the old iBuyer model, or still that Open Door uses, that you have a buy box criteria. I will tell you that our minimum loan size is $150,000. Right now, our maximum loan size is $750,000. However, each market is different. We will look at that maximum loan size because unlike an iBuyer model where I may be limiting myself if I'm over that because it's a jumbo loan now, right? You're approved for a mortgage. My risk is in your approval, not in somebody else who might purchase the home.
Right.
In an iBuyer model.
Yeah. Yeah. And that, like you said, that was one of the things the iBuyers got in trouble with, the Zillow thing that they just didn't know the market. I mean, like Zillow lost a lot of money on their iBuyer model because they rolled it out to markets and then they tried to find the agents to market the product, having them reduce commission, and they just went down from a volume. And eventually, if you're not good at valuing houses as a realtor and you were placed on that iBuyer model, you were putting Zillow in jeopardy in that. And that's why they had to bail. Yeah. And then they were
I'm sorry if somebody was in part of that, but that's what happened.
No shade. It happened, man. Like no shade on that for sure. That's exactly what happened. That's exactly what happened. So, well, listen, man, we're going to wrap up here quick, but awesome. Again, Keith Simon, getsnaphomes.com.
You can also email me at Keith, Keith at getsnaphomes.com.
And where else can they find you? Where else is Snap Homes at?
As far as what?
Facebook.
We're on Facebook. We're Instagram. I'm not sure the Instagram. But at Facebook, you can find us at Snap Homes. And we try and keep an active post about some of the things that we do and the events that we have going on. I also did want to give one more shout out on October 22nd for Oktoberfest. We have Robert Courtney.
Yes.
Of Robert Courtney Associates emceeing. And if you don't know Robert, just simply one of the best individuals on this planet. And we're absolutely honored that he's coming alongside of us and going to be part of this event.
Yeah. He's a very good friend of mine and, really appreciate everything that Robert Courtney does. That's for sure. So he's going to be emceeing for us.
Yes, emceeing for us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. You can't do anything in Detroit without Robert Courtney.
You can't. I think it's illegal.
And now it's nationwide with Robert Courtney. So man, we're getting out of there. So, well, guys, I appreciate it. The Elite Real Estate Podcast every Friday. Keith, thanks for joining me, my man. I appreciate it. I very, very much appreciate it. And we will talk to you all next week at the Elite Real Estate Podcast. Find us wherever you find podcasts.